Most of you guys have never experienced raw attraction from a woman, simply because you don't have the physique or the physical appearance that deserves that attraction. And I'm someone who has a 0.01% physique. You can sort of see a video of me here, pretty raw. Yeah, the lighting's pretty complimentary, but doesn't really matter on the lighting. I still look great anyway. And many men today, when you look at the dating apps and, their personal success with women, it's terrible. There's a reason why the 80-20 rule exists. 80% of women tend to be sleeping with or dating the top 20% of men. And you can make the argument for, oh, finances, oh, this, that, and whatever. But the reality is that women pretty much disqualify on one thing before they do any other disqualification, and that is your physique and how you look. And it's why it's so important to prioritize having a aesthetic physique. And that is exactly what I'm going to cover in this video, what that looks like, why it's so important, and a few steps on how to start building the true aesthetic V-taper physique. So first we need to cover what it is that actually makes a attractive physique in the eyes of women. And that's exactly what this video is about. So step number one, it is creating that V-taper physique. Now that can be done in a number of ways. Ideally, broad shoulders, wide lats and narrow waist. But in order for those things to even show, you need to have a low body fat percentage. And that is essentially the main thing that most people fuck up, because they love eating too much food. They can't put themselves in a calorie deficit in order to get the lean physique that they should have. And the mistake that loads of people make is thinking that solely the gym can do all of the work and the gym can, outperform their bad diet. But if that were the case, the guys you see in the gym would have good physiques. And as someone who's been working out for nearly 9 years, I can categorically tell you that most men in the gym have terrible physiques. They're not attractive, women don't look at them, and I can even say it further because I used to be one of those people. You can sort of see the transformation I'm going to put on screen now as to what I used to look like for the first 6 or 7 years of my gym journey. And it was bulky. I was strong. The only respect I'd ever get were from other men saying, oh, well done, man, like you can bench 130 kilos on an incline. Women don't care about that stuff. They care about being lean, being aesthetic. And that is exactly what I seek to do continually, to stay lean, to stay aesthetic. And you can sort of see it in that second picture there as well. So now you understand what it is that women want, and I'm going to explain to you why they desire these things. So biologically, women are attracted to the ratio of a man's shoulders from 2 to about 1. That ratio there is literally a biological wiring of women to be attracted to it because of genetic disposition and their children, and it shows that you are, you have good genetics basically. And beyond that as well, it's just being aesthetic, having good jawline, having hollow cheeks, having veins on your arms, showing that you're a hard worker, showing that you're resilient. All of these things show certain personality traits because, in order to have a good physique, it's a degree of difficulty that not everyone can have. And the same thing that you would get from driving a Ferrari or driving a Lamborghini or having lots of money, it's rare. It's a simple supply and demand. And when, not even 1% of men have that physique, it instantly makes it more desirable. And that's exactly what women seek to have. Women are very hypergamous, and therefore they're going to want the thing that's better than the average person, for example. And it only takes someone of average intelligence to realize that, you're walking down the beach, you enter a room, which person is going to be perceived as more attractive, more, hardworking, have better personality traits? Is it going to be the person who is fat and, morbidly obese, or not even morbidly obese? Sometimes you can be jacked and just be a bit bulky, those typical steroid guys. Is it going to be that guy, or is it going to be the aesthetic, lean, V-taper physique look? Well, it's obviously the V-taper physique look. Look at the models, look at the people who walk on runways. They all have a particular look, and there's a reason for that. It's because it's what's considered universally attractive. And when you want to, be perceived as attractive to a woman, you kind of want to go for the, cast your net kind of wide. You want to go for what most women find attractive. Are there going to be some women who like fat guys? Absolutely. Are there going to be some women who want skinny guys? Absolutely. but the overwhelming majority of them have an attraction to someone who is lean, someone who is aesthetic, and someone who has a bit of muscle mass. So now you understand the what and the why. I'm going to explain to you the how. And I'm not going to go into super detail, otherwise we'd be sat here all day, and that's exactly what I offer coaching for. But in order to achieve a lean aesthetic physique, step number one is to get lean, right? Even if you haven't got that much muscle, you can still gain muscle in a deficit. You can still gain muscle later on. The main priority should be getting lean, and that is done for a calorie deficit. Now, there are two ways that you can, put on a calorie deficit. Step number one is to just simply eat less food. This is the method that I'm very fond of, and the reason why is because it's the easiest metric to control. It doesn't require any addition of work. And then the second metric, or the second way you can do it, is to move more and do more exercise. Now, I previously said that you can't really outwork a bad diet, but what does that actually mean? You can't, run forever. It's a waste of time. You can simply just eat less food, and oftentimes that's the easier option. So yeah, you can go and do cardio, you can go do your steps, you can go do all of that stuff. But ultimately, it's far easier, especially if you're not someone who's time rich and you've got a job, right? It's far easier to just eat less food for a short period of time. Now, I'm not saying starve yourself, no, but put yourself in like a moderate deficit, somewhere around like 500 to 1,000, depending on what you can sustain and how many steps you do in a day. And that's going to allow you to actually start losing weight. Around 0.5 kilos to a kilo a week is the most ideal, and that's going to be something that's sustainable over a period that's going to allow you over, say, 15 weeks to lose around maybe 12, 13 kilos. Now, putting yourself in a calorie deficit is one thing, but it also matters the food that you're eating while in a deficit, because women are also attracted to other things like good teeth, clear skin, healthy hair. And in order to actually have those things, you need to fuel your body properly. And to make the deficit even easier, fueling the body properly is going to make the deficit come better and actually give you aesthetic physique. I don't approach this with a if it fits your macros, that's retarded, and that will just leave you with oily, greasy skin and oily, greasy hair and, pungent odor. No one wants that. So what you should be focused on is whole foods, things like red meat, things like eggs, things like dairy. Fruit are very, very important as well. And, healthy carbohydrates, rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes. You want to have a almost 100% whole foods diet. Sometimes in life things get in the way and you might have to, step off plan. But overwhelmingly, you should be eating healthy whole foods, ideally 100% of the time. That's going to make the deficit easier. That's going to give you a better glow in your skin. It's going to give you healthier hair, better nails, all of these things that are universally important when it comes to building attraction and building an aesthetic, attractive physique. So now you're in a calorie deficit and now you're eating healthy foods and you're starting to glow. The next thing you need to focus on is your recovery. And that is ultimately done in one way, and that's sleep. Sleep is so underrated in terms of how you look and how also you burn fat and how your body processes fuel. When you are getting 5 hours of sleep a night, you are not going to be able to function properly. You are not going to be able to exert yourself in the gym. You're going to get more cravings and that deficit becomes very difficult. However, when you are getting 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 hours of sleep a night, your energy is through the roof. Your skin starts to glow, your hair is healthier, your deficit and your fat loss goes far more successful, and it's far easier to build an aesthetic physique. Now, the final thing that I focus on, and there is a reason why it's last, and that is being in the gym and building the actual muscles that make you look, lean, jacked, and handsome. So the reason why I put the gym last is because it doesn't actually move the needle as much as people think. You can have subpar training, especially in your first year. You could have subpar training, and even if that's like squats and press ups and handstand push-ups or some shit like that, you will still see far more progress once your sleep and your diet and your deficit is dialed. The person who is got no muscle but is lean and has hollow cheeks, a bit of veins, is always going to outperform the guy who's the gym bro, who's doing his pre-workout and his Rice Krispies and all of that shit. But he's bloat maxed and he's like 20% body fat. Even though he has more muscle, it doesn't matter. So when it comes to going to the gym, I just simply say train hard, train consistently, not even frequently. Ideally, like 3 to 5 days is the sweet spot. For most people, it's probably around 3 or 4 days a week. and then focus on specific muscles that are going to get you the V-taper look. And in no particular order, actually, I would even put it in an order. I'd probably focus on your shoulders, your lats, your upper chest, not any other part of the chest, but because when you focus on the upper chest, the rest of the chest gets developed and you get that shelf-like look. So yeah, your shoulders, your lats, your upper chest, your abs, of course, mainly the visible part of the abs, which is the main core, not necessarily your obliques. Some people have blockier waists, and training the obliques will only make things worse and will sort of kill that V-taper look. So you really want to maximize your side delts. That's gonna be what creates the sort of ratio and the V-taper. And then obviously once you have a low body fat percentage, your waist will just appear narrower, shoulders wider, and then you'll have that nice V-taper look. So yeah, it's really those four muscles. The shoulders, again, I'm going to repeat it because why the fuck not? You guys need to know this shit. Shoulders, lats, upper chest, and abs. Now, this doesn't mean you should neglect every other muscle group. Don't be that person that's top heavy and just doesn't train legs. That's also retarded. You need to train your legs. They are very important. It's also what holds up your frame. No girl wants a guy that's got smaller legs than them, right? Especially if you're going for good quality girls who actually train in a gym who have nice legs. You don't want to be the guy who's got a massive upper body and then your girlfriend's got bigger legs than you. That's just dumb. So focusing on those muscle groups, and I'm actually going to throw legs in there as well because this is not going to be an excuse for you guys to just neglect your legs. But focusing on those things are going to give you a a truly aesthetic physique. So as a summary, I'm going to give you guys a bit of a summary. Focus on, dropping your body fat. Focus on recovering and sleeping well. Focus on 100% whole food diet. Focus on building a V-taper muscular physique. And from there, you can start to build a physique that women are going to respect, that when you walk down the beach, it's going to turn heads. You're going to be able to blow out all the other guys that are around you because no one else wants to put in the effort. And if you are someone who wants, tailored training program with coaching and full accountability, click my link in the bio and book a call with me. And if it makes sense, we can work together towards getting you more attractive.